Welcome to Sintropher, a transnational cooperation Interreg 4B project funded by the European Commission.
The main purpose of Sintropher is to bring 5 cities of North and West Europe together in order to explore different ways of better connecting cities and regions together to improve prosperity both in small settlements around cities and the strengthening of the core of cities themselves. The first stop on this tour is to Kassel in central Germany, where we're going to see how the regional tram-train system has strengthened both the core of the city and the regional economy.
There were several motives to get to this regional tram-train system here in Kassel. Deutsche Bahn was running very old trains in the region that were very expensive on tracks that were actually not very well serving the people. And there had to be some ideas to the concept of tram trains. The tram trains are shorter, so you have platforms that are not as long as with the long trains of Deutsche Bahn. In Germany, the law was changing that public transport with regional trains was run by the regions themselves, and they got the money for it. So the new concept was getting tram cars on the regional tracks of Deutsche Bahn, using the chance as well to get these tram cars on the tram tracks into the city right from the stations, and to finance this with the money usually given to Deutsche Bahn. With this money, the whole thing was renovated. Regional tram trains came up as an idea, getting into the region without stopping at the main stations and getting better access to the railway stations. Running tram trains on Deutsche Bahn tracks is much less expensive than running an old train which is 30 years old. The lightweight train doesn't destroy the track as much, so maintenance is lower. The whole thing gets very much more efficient. Tram trains, in my view, have quite a future. They are a system for European cities and regions that can very efficiently run regional traffic. Tram trains are cheaper and they can be combined to local networks if there are still local networks existing.
Main motivation was to strengthen the tram system and to make the regional public transport on rail fit for the future. Because the very old-fashioned trains in the region to substitute with modern cars, especially fit for the handicapped people. The image of the public transport in the region is much better than before. We have 24,000 students and 2 of the Regio tram lines going directly to the university. All the people say, yes, we have a region with a strong public transport system like a S-Bahn in the great cities, and so the region grows together. That was the main benefit, I think. The key success factors are financing and cooperation. Cooperation of the transport authorities and a sure financing system.
Next we're visiting Saarbrucken in southwest Germany, where we're going to have a look at a cross-border tram-train system and how it's boosted both the city and the region.
We choose tram-train technology for our project because there's an existing tram-train line between Saarbrücken and Saarbrucken. It allows us to use old private rail tracks that are not used anymore or underused at a time. So it can allow us to lower the infrastructure costs, and we can connect the existing tram network of Saarbrücken to the tram-train network. So we have public transport network that irrigates our territory Almost 38,000 people cross the border every day. Less than 1% of them use public transport, even though 15% of them would be willing to if it was more developed. We also studied the main flows and the significant corridors. What came out is the most important corridor goes from Saarbrucken to Forbach. So we developed an action program in order to improve public transport in our region. We wanted to build a tram-train connection between Saarbrücken in Germany and Forbach in France, after the model of the existing tram-train between Saarbrücken and Sarreguemines. The main characteristic of our project is that we see our cross-border territory as one metropolitan area, so we don't want to extend public transport line across the border. We want to build the first cross-border public transport network based on the tram-train technology. The costs of the feasibility studies amounted to almost 300,000 euros to show what this project of new tram-train network could bring to us. And if we build this tram-train network, the whole tram-train network between Saarbrücken and Forbach and the two loops, infrastructure costs are about 500 million euros. The tram-train scheme is the first cross-border public transport line that we have in the Eurodistrict metropolitan area. People from Sarreguemines have a public transport line they can use to go to Saarbrücken. The flows between Sarreguemines and Saarbrücken are very important. It's about work or shopping or going out. It's the first public transport line people can use to cross the border. I think we can say that both of the people in Saarbrücken and in Sarreguemines have benefited equally. There are a lot of cross-border workers coming from Sarreguemines and working in Saarbrücken, and they have a tram train to go to work and come back home. The most important success factors for this tram-train scheme was the engagement of the politicians, both French or German. It was because they really wanted the connection that they had to work on a cross-border connection. And it's exactly the same on our new scheme of a connection between Saarbrücken and Forbach. I think there is really a great future for the tram-train technology. It can allow to connect cities with more rural areas and reuse old rail tracks. And the innovations in technology, we are working on an extension of the tram-train network here in Saarbrücken. I think based on the model in Saarbrücken, it would be a great project for Blackpool and other cities all across Northwest Europe. It has a great future.
We visited the two projects in Germany and we're now in northeastern France, in Valenciennes, where we're going to have a look at the tramway system here, which is a single track tramway with passing loops.
Donc nous avons fait la première phase et la deuxième phase de tramway en double voie. Et après, la troisième phase a été faite en voie unique pour des raisons aussi économiques et d'emprise dans les villes où on n'avait pas assez d'emprise. Donc on est passé en voie unique. Les coûts pour ces deux trams, les premières et deux, 250 millions d'euros et la dernière, 150 millions d'euros.
L'impact du tramway sur la régénération urbaine a été très importante. Elle a touché deux points principaux. D'abord la restructuration des voiries qui a permis de, tout le long de l'axe du tramway, refaire le système viaire et puis les bordures qui l'entourent. Et puis aussi réaliser de grands projets urbains qui ont permis de redynamiser les centres-villes des grandes polarités du territoire que sont Denain, Valenciennes et le pôle de Condé.
Les grandes difficultés d'une voie unique, c'est qu'il faut absolument que toute la signalisation marche parfaitement, c'est-à-dire la SIG ferroviaire et la SLT, la signalisation lumineuse tricolore pour les véhicules qui viennent dans les carrefours. et que les barrières s'abaissent au moment qu'il n'y ait pas de problème. Le gros problème est l'exploitation pour que tout tombe pile, pour qu'on puisse être dans les évitements au bon moment. Ça mérite des réglages très précis comparativement à une double voie.
Les projets de rénovation urbaine sont au nombre de 5. Ils se sont fixés tout au long du projet de tramway, notamment sur les pôles de Vieux-Condé, de Valenciennes et de Denain, et ont permis de revitaliser à la fois le logement et les surfaces commerciales. Les 3 principaux facteurs de succès du tramway ont été d'une part le désenclavement de certains centres urbains où les populations les moins aisées connaissaient des difficultés à se déplacer, la relance de la construction privée autour de l'opération du tramway, et puis pour finir des opérations d'importantes en rénovation urbaine et des projets à l'échelle du territoire que sont par exemple le Palais des Congrès.
Un projet tramway, comme vous avez pu le voir sur les 3 lignes, ne se fait pas tout seul. C'est un travail d'équipe et surtout que tous les élus travaillent dans le même sens pour la réalisation de ces 35 km. C'est grâce à la mobilisation de tous les élus qui ont eu cette réalisation. Sans un travail d'équipe, on ne peut pas réaliser de tramway. C'est un travail très complexe. Il faut passer dans chaque ville avec les commerçants, les riverains. C'est un travail d'une complexité grande. Enfin, tous les gens qui ont fait des tramways s'en rendent bien compte et le savent bien. Donc c'est surtout, je voudrais insister sur le travail d'équipe pour mener à bien ce chantier très important, qui mobilise toutes les populations et un nombre de personnes important.
Sintropher a permis avant tout de partager nos connaissances au travers de différents workshops. Notre exemple notamment de Kassel nous a permis de nous conforter déjà dans nos choix et surtout de réfléchir sur d'autres projets à venir, toujours en partageant nos connaissances à travers les différents partenaires européens.
What strikes you about Valenciennes then, Rob?
The Valenciennes scheme is very interesting for UK practitioners. It's been developed for social objectives rather than the UK investment practices to look at the economic efficiency of a project. Whereas here, the tram has been developed purely for regeneration objectives, or mostly for regeneration objectives.
But we often forget that over half of Europe's population lives in cities and settlements of less than 500,000 people. And often these are the places that are forgotten about in terms of transport investment. The 3 case studies that we've seen, Kassel, Saarbrucken and Valenciennes, show what can be done in small cities using innovative light rail technology.
We have seen 3 examples of best practice in city-region transport planning in Europe, and now we explore how this might be developed in the UK, with a proposed rail and tram project linking Preston to Blackpool. Preston is a regional rail hub with fast links to London, Glasgow and Manchester. The current station was built in 1850 and has had little investment since. It is a poor waiting environment with few facilities, little step-free access and no effective connecting public transport services. Blackpool has already upgraded their coastal tram system during the Sintropher project and now plans to upgrade the link from Blackpool along the South Fylde coast to Preston. This would either be an upgraded electrification of the line with new trains, replacing the outdated diesel trains built in the 1980s, or, ideally, a tram-train system running from Manchester and Preston to Blackpool and connecting with the existing tram system, like the systems we have seen in Kassel and Saarbrucken. Sintropher's total project expenditure has been €26.8 million, including €7.9 million European Regional Development Fund. Much of this, €22.3 million, has been invested in physical pilot and demonstration projects on innovative tram-based systems and related interchange projects. There has been very impressive impact on the ground.